Hey, how's it going? I have a few cards today. Oh yeah. Please look at my signs. I need to get a new whiteboard or a new communication system or something, because I know what's up there is hard to read. It's okay. See, you can see all of the sign. Alright. So, today I had a nice visit, or I had a visitor, which is kind of unusual. And it was my good friend, and it is someone I can talk to about the most woo-woo space people, reptilian, conspiracy theory, medicines, politics, whatever. We can talk about everything. And we already were like very like when we first met, we got along so fast and clicked so easily. It was like kind of creepy, but it was okay. Eventually, it just sort of moved into regular. Like it wasn't all, "What's up with this?" But we had a falling out for a while, like pretty long, like years. And then, like, we fairly recently became back in contact, and so she was over, and along with just being simpatico, like just kind of getting each other, since we started talking again, she had like all this crazy stuff happen in between, and a lot of it very closely parallels things that I have health-wise. And when you have like a serious health condition or thing going on with you that's just kind of like that's what your life is now, like the thing changes your life, and then like meanwhile you're also aging or whatever, and also whatever you did in your youth to sort of like abuse the frame is now like, ha ha, you shouldn't have done that. Karma. So, we just have a lot of very similar things going on. And it put us both into a space where we didn't have like the concerns of, look, I worked from the time I was like 15 years old. I had little jobs before that, but like I had to do like full-time work like a grown-up because I had to, I was not in my parents' house anymore, my mother's house, so I had to do the things. And why did I start talking about that? Friend, similar things. Oh, the working. So I worked like a lot, and then I didn't like it. Like sometimes I get like a really good, fun, well-paid job, and then some circumstance would always come along and mess it up, and it would either be like something completely out of my control that indirectly affected me, like the business would close, and it was like that wasn't because of me, it was already closing kind of deal. I just happened to get a job at the end. Or, just whatever it was, like, the job would end and they're all, "Oh yeah, we're just not going to pick that up again next quarter, and so, bye, here's your check." It's like they just would shrivel up or whatever. And then the rest were not pleasant in all of the ways I described, and in other ways that I didn't. They were unpleasant. And so I didn't want to work. I have never wanted to work. And I'll do work, and I'll show up on time and be there when I'm supposed to be and do the best that I can. Like I'm not like a shirker, but I would be if I could, but see, now I don't have to, because now I have all kinds of time. But before I got sick and I got all of the time, like that's the price I paid. I had to get pretty seriously, like, sick in a way that, like, it's not gonna go back to, like, there's no healing that's gonna get me anywhere back near to normal, especially now, because of the whole combination I was talking about before, it was like the aging and all that crap. But what it does afford both of us, mine happened before hers did, so I'm able to offer her a perspective on, like, I know exactly what she's going through with a lot of her health things right now. It just made us even closer. So, anyway, it's always really like I'm always like fulfilled and happy when she's left, because I get to say things to her that, I mean, I can say I'm here, but I don't get a response. You know, it's nice. I'm getting a tone. Okay. Sorry. You're supposed to. I've seen a couple of, well, more than a couple of times, I've seen that you should hum in the same key as the tone if you're hearing. If you can. A lot of times, I just can't. If I have to try to go high, I can't do it. Anyway, so one of the things we were talking about is like, oh, sorry, now I'm trying to change it. What we were afforded by the health things was time to contemplate shit, you know, to just really, yeah, like for me, I had to go through the shock of going from being completely physically able at, like, in my mid-20s to becoming completely paralyzed on one side, and then never really coming, like, completely back from that, you know, like, the paralysis side is just, I guess, never gonna be what it used to be, so it makes so much of what my other life before I was sick, like, just no longer possible, like, it's just not physically possible anymore. And then over the years, I've just gone to some interesting places with the illness, but it's just affected me in so many different ways. And then, you know, like, you get older and you fall, and then, like, that's bad, because, yes, you break, but, like, I shatter, so that's not good. There's just all these things, you know, and so when I first was like, I got settled, I got into this place, and it had been already like many years since that happened, the initial illness, and I just kind of was still working a little bit, even if I was like dragging half of myself around, and it wasn't immediate that I got established, like where I am now, and was able to get into a position where I've been here the longest I've been anywhere. So that was also new. So for like 10 years after I got sick, I didn't process any of it. Like, there are so many things, I'm not going to get into it here. But finally, and I'm only able to do this like after sitting around 10 years in a daze, basically, fully functioning, but not even really addressing, you know, the complete flip of the coin of my life from this totally able, active person that life was heading in a different direction because of what I used to be able to do that I can no longer do. So, I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense that it would just totally, like, knock you crazy, like, off your balance, you know? Like, having your life... Well, I mean, people get into accidents in physical, like, car wrecks or something like that, or whatever the ballistic crashing is, but you can come out of it. You were a runner, a marathon, triathlon, like whatever, and then you're all of a sudden you're quadriplegic, and so that messes with your head. I think that's not unknown. So, 10 years of just sort of like existing, not really. I didn't even know that I wasn't dealing with stuff. I feel like I was in shock. And then after that, I happened, and didn't have to worry about a lot of things that I used to have to worry about, like paycheck and roof over the head and all. Like I get a lot of help, thankfully, at the cost of like my health. You understand? So I finally got to a place where I was like, oh my God, I just blew 10 years. Like, I haven't dealt with anything. And then my spiritual awakening started happening, and that opens up all kinds of other stuff. But I was able to kind of deal in combination with those two things because I don't have the concerns that I used to have, like, gotta get to work, gotta have bus fare or gas money or, whatever the thing is, and all of the here, there, gotta, I didn't have that anymore, so, and I was not upset, okay? I was happy. I'm not happy to do that at the cost of my health, but at that point, I was finally like, I mean, let's face it, this is the way it is now. It can be better or whatever, but generally, this is what's happening. This is it. And so, even that sort of folded into everything that I was thinking about at that time. And then, also the spiritual awakening thing was happening. I don't know that it's like stopped. It's just not as explosive and shocking and exciting as it was at first. Now it's different. Like, it's not like those, like, things don't still happen and revelations and things like that, but I just, I don't know, like, I'm not as, like, not as blown away as I once was, or it's different. Like, I don't know, matured or whatever. Oh, that's why that's like that. So, getting to the conversation finally, at one point, we were talking about, like, the way it is now with, like, the crazy war that happened in a way that, I mean, kind of weird for us. Like, even if it's baloney, we have, like, a process, and that didn't happen, and it's not even really, like, our thing, we just didn't luck out with this president that doesn't know how to say no. In my opinion. And that's just making a lot of difficulty for everyone. And then there's a lot of, you hear people talking about, this time reminds me of like the Civil War, or this person's like that person, and all of a sudden all this race stuff that we thought got settled is all completely, they're like just ripping it out, and have ripped it out at the roots, like civil rights stuff, and minorities are just the enemy, and so it's like civil rights, race stuff. It seems like there's a lot of the feeling that men hate women, and they're the ones giving us that feeling. So whatever issues we have unresolved regarding that, there's also like the incel phenomena and the groypers and just male not erectile dysfunction, just plain dysfunction. And, not like all we women are totally like set and fixed either, but I mean, it feels like it's the Civil War. We're going to have a Civil War. It feels like Nazis and World War II, and It's like every major conflict that, somebody was like left with a burnt ass about, like it didn't get fixed, like the Civil War here. But it just feels like all of those kind of trapped genetic memory, like memory that's like in our DNA, that, some part of us is still carrying the unresolved part of that conflict, whichever, take your pick. Because my feeling is that we have to kind of deal with that to fix whatever else we got to fix, and there's a lot. And so I feel like it's just all happening at once. It's now or never, like sink or swim. And depending on your perspective, like, you don't have to have my perspective to kind of maybe see, like, institutions kind of crumbling, like, oh my God, that was there forever, and it was part of my life. Well, I mean, it was a building in your neighborhood, and I guess, like, now that it's gone, the part of where it's a part of your life is all in your head, and that you have to deal with. And it's like I was saying, like, the transition from being, like, healthy to this person with all these weird health problems. It's an abrupt transition, and it messes with your head. And so I feel like a lot of us there's like a frantic energy because a lot of us don't know what the hell to do about things and which way to turn, because, again, take your pick which thing you want to freak out about. But I think you shouldn't freak out. Like, I think that's kind of our problem. What I do think we should be doing is something I've thought for a long time, and it didn't occur to me until tonight why I was so particular about this projected vision. I saw a while ago, like, something happened with, like, agriculture that made me think maybe there's, like, a better, cleaner way to do it, and then the people that want to do it, and then even people that maybe don't want to do it, would want to because of this. But I had in particular the people that are already doing, like, the harvesting of agriculture, which are, to my knowledge, majority Latino people. And so I started having this idea that if I won the lottery or had, like, money or something, I would construct an indoor, like a greenhouse, but it could be like a living complex, like sort of a self-sufficient kind of growing operation, but also, like, just, they're growing stuff for, like, people that want to buy onions in the world, like in the marketplace, and then they would have, like, daycare and whatever, but for people, and then, like, you could actually live there too. Like, there would be in some area housing, and it wouldn't be like, if you're not Latino, you need not apply. It wouldn't be like that at all. But considering they're mainly the people that are already doing it, here's what I was thinking about this greenhouse thing too. Like, it could be vast. But instead of having them crawling around in dirt like they do normally, not hydroponic, but like raised indoor gardens, like greenhouse. And then nobody's really having to break their back like they normally did. Or one time, a long time ago, I read that, back when I actually read stuff, I did look at it on the phone, but it was about migrant workers and, like, the challenges of doing that work. And one thing, this is what stayed with me, was that sometimes, or in some places, the soil itself could make you sick. Not like toxic spill, but like some kind of bacterial thing, like a bioorganism thing. And if I remember correctly, not everyone was susceptible to it, but it was in there like one of those drug side effect lists. There's, like, this and that and the other thing and the other thing and the other thing, and then in the middle of it is toxic dirt that'll make you really sick. Like, I don't know that it was fatal. It may have been, because I remember thinking that's really bad, like what it does to you. So, maybe if you could like bring it indoors and like sort of clean up the operation, but not do anything weird like GMO or anything like that. Just have like clean soil, to work with, and raised gardens instead of people crawling around in the dirt and hunched over weird. Like, not saying you won't get some kind of ache from doing it this way, but it seems like there's more efficient ways to do it. And then a lot of, like, it could be like a model, but now after the whole ice thing, I just started remembering that, because I thought of this years ago and then forgot all about it. But I thought about it a lot because I remember it very clearly, and I remember thinking at the time, but why only Latinos? Like, I know, like, the picking people thing, yeah, but it wouldn't have to only be them, because it would be more attractive for people that have traditionally not wanted to do that type of work. So, then the ice stuff started happening, and it's like there were and still are like the main target. Like, I don't know what the wild hair, well, actually I do know what the wild hair now is, but yeah, it seems to have like expanded. Anyway, that is what I think is kind of gonna pull us out of where we are with it, where it seems like we have nowhere to turn with like prices of stuff, and you not getting help from the government anymore, and all kinds of regulations have been taken away. And we know now, like, it's always been this way, but it's never been as blatant as this. I mean, capitalism rules, but avarice, transactional everything, firewalls for everyone. That's like oppressive, and it is like that, like possession by like a demonic entity thing. That kind of oppression where you're just like trapped, and everywhere you turn is like, that's not a good answer, that's not a good answer, that's not a good answer. And that can like trip you up and make you all fearful. But the thing is if we look to each other and find alternative ways to do things, and we just have to be asymmetrical with this system. And I've said this for a long time before I had any idea the past 10 years was going to happen. I didn't know any of this. Or, maybe on some level I did, but I've always felt like we have to find ways to safely assemble without, like, stupid FBI infiltration thinking we're, like, going to do something to them, where especially now, with the staff they got now, they're, like, the enemy. They fired all the people that were real, Or mostly. I think there's still some people, like, sort of, like, hiding and pretending to be mega or whatever. So, but anyway, that is my main point. We talked about a lot of things, but this kind of stands out, and I was thinking about it a lot anyway, is that we, have to do different things now, or nothing's gonna change. And I've been saying that about getting along with each other for a while now, too. Like, we already know how to argue and fight and debate everything into the ground ad infinitum, whatever. We have to do something different, or we're just going to end up in more of the same advanced plus. And I don't think we want that. I think we want it better and more equitable. And the we that I'm referring to, there are more of us. Like, we may not have all of the money, but we are all of the labor, We go do the work. We're not like the CEO doing whatever the hell they do for all of the money that could go to, like, people's insurance and crap. Like, give people dental. Give them something. So, Yeah, I, I don't know why it is so hard for. Well, I guess we just have been conditioned to behave in certain ways, and it is hard to break habits. But we need to drop our like ridiculous problems with each other because we're not the ones causing each other the problems. If we follow the money, basically, even the things that we think we have against each other, we will find that like there's not really truth to it. It's just like the how it's always been, and that's what everybody always says. And have we tried to do it different? No, we have not. And so that's just on the level of getting along with each other, but we got to do that to be able to move into a stage where we trust each other and want to help and support each other so that we can, make our way around the obstacles that are popping up more and more everywhere. It's like living in a role playing game, whatever they're called, and the game is like trying to get us. So we got to keep our wits about us. We got to figure out what's going on. We got to see like what's happening for what it really is. But I don't, there's a lot of content out there from a lot of different directions that is shining lights on things that have made life difficult for a lot of people in ways that we're just not going to believe the stuff that we're going to be learning at first. We're cynical, we're resistant to change. But I think we're going to be seeing some stuff that's going to like sort of shock our systems, break us out of that sort of like lacquered way of thinking that we've had for so long. Okay, so I have 3 cards. I'm losing my voice. I have 3 cards from the what is this? Starseed Oracle deck. And the first card is called. There is somebody in their bright red cloak. I don't know. It's making me think of Dune, but there's not like a specific image of that. But they're big on the cloaks in the wind in Dune. All Dunes that I've seen have had this feature. So it appears to be a woman. I don't know why she's like also barefoot, but hey, whatever suits you in this wherever you are place. As usual, there is a portal, there is a doorway, and it's one of my favorite kind where it just is like literally there's just like a rectangle of doorway, but if you walk through it, you're not gonna be where you can see if you look around this door frame, just standing in the middle of wherever this is. Yeah, like how do I know so much about it? I don't even know where it is. I just got a feeling. Okay, so let me consult the manual. Lovely. Okay. Come on, man. Okay, called. So the subtitles are Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. So, the soul gifts and the training. I feel like that's what I was talking about with my friend and myself, with our sort of incubation periods, that we both worked our butts off, and the various jobs we've done have taken a toll on our little bodies, along with the damaging of them that we were doing ourselves. And, what I talked about before. But we've had that time, that contemplative time, to think about, like, all of the stuff that I talked about. So there's your soul training, and it's time to step up. And I've been saying, like, more recently, for a while though, that it's like an all hands situation we got going here. And a big thing that's going to be a big help is people acknowledging what is actually happening. Like, the situation is more than what you can see on the news. In fact, stop looking at the news. Look at news from other countries if you gotta look at news. Because our country is not telling you the straight dope. It's just not. Excuse me. Let me take a drink before I read. You came to Earth with a double mission: to grow as a soul and to bring about a shift in consciousness. The best way to fulfill these personal and collective purposes is to trust what it is that your soul is calling you toward, for it's encoded within the most direct path forward. Your soul has many unique gifts that it came here to share. Some of you may already be aware of. Some you may already be aware of. Others you're just beginning to uncover. You're being called to remember that your soul intelligently chose the perfect conditions to carry out your soul's mission and share your soul's gifts. If you're being called toward a creative project, a passion, or an adventure, this card is your confirmation. I laughed pretty hard when I pulled out that card. But with delight, because I was like, it's all covered with crap. I was going to bring my chime, but again, it's all covered with crap. So ding! It was the right card for what I wanted to talk about. I love it when that happens. Okay, so moving on. Where'd it go? If you're feeling unprepared or thinking, who am I to do that? This card is guiding you to step up and leap, and consider perhaps that your soul has been training for this moment right here for lifetimes. Starseed activation. Place the card on the portal of your heart and whisper the following. You are not going to be able to hear me because my voice is about to die, so I'm just going to read to you what it says. You save that, putting the card on you for when you do it yourself. I call forth the soul gifts and soul training that I've received throughout all of my lifetimes. Oh, and then, when we were talking, I was like, she was like daunted by the things in her life that she has to deal with in order to get to where she wants to go in her life, and also just thinking about like how for both of us things are so radically different, and my impression is that things that were always a little bit scary but always also on the fringe are sort of making their way front and center, and it's kind of like mentally and emotionally destabilizing if you allow it to do that to you. But I said, we have both been through some pretty crazy stuff in our lives, like some really difficult things, and we made it. So it's like I'm sure, like, yeah, this is hard, but like not to just give up and be like, oh my God, like how could we possibly? We've done a lot. Like we can probably do this too. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm covering. I'm the only one here. Jeez. I'm ready to embody them all now. Without hesitation or fear, I fully commit to being here now. Here and now, my favorite thing. I fully commit to being here now. I'm ready to step into my soul's highest and most potent calling. I've been training for this for lifetimes. So this life and lifetimes is plural. Okay, next card is big picture thinking. These cards are just a porous world of portals. Even this is like a chip of place, or it's the upside down or something. Oh wow, maybe it is kind of like the upside down. Well, check it out. Hold on, I'm gonna need my indicator and my other hand. Can we get out of here? Okay, so here's the portal that I was going on about right here, like this big sort of like doorway thing, and then you see stars. And I don't think it's, well, maybe it is the kind, nope. I was gonna say maybe it's just that door frame thing, but I don't think it is, because there seems to be like buildings and things that's attached to in the background, and people here and there. No, not there, but like over here. I think these are beings. But the reason why I was saying it was the upside down, because it's like the other side of this right here, which looks like it could be Monument Valley or something. So I wouldn't say that this is directly underneath. I would say that it's a parallel dimension. So I don't know that that has to be like literally physically right next door. But I'm not real sure about that. So let us consult the manual and see what it says about big picture thinking. I think it's like long view thinking, you know, like sort of all inclusive as much as you possibly can. Because for things to play out, many elements must exist. I mean, I just feel like that is the case. So let's see what it says here. The subtitles are Pleiades energy, visionary, inspired ideas. The Pleiadians are our cosmic cousins. They're here to remind us that it's never too late to learn new things and change the future. You're being called to be a visionary for the planet, to take a breath, shake off what you've been taught about the world, and hold a new vision for humanity. You're likely a natural big picture thinker, here to generate ideas for the future, here to birth a new age and dream a new world into being. The future will be woven by dream makers like you, by those with enough courage to question the way things have been and envision new possibilities for the planet. The world needs more artists, dreamers, inventors, and visionary thinkers. Perhaps you've had an idea recently that you're being called to usher in. If so, this card is your confirmation that is divinely guided. Okay, so I'm laughing because that was a lot of what I have already just said, but the last part got me because I've been watching stuff that has me questioning things about Tartaria and other sort of adjacent subjects, and something and this came up in like this is another thing, and it came up for like a different video on their title card, and it had a tree in it that had people living in parts of the tree, and then the Tartaria one. This was weird because I started out watching one and then fell asleep on it and woke up to the end of like a whole other one. But I stopped it, and where I stopped it was a picture of a tree with people living in it. And I was like, okay, I think I'm getting a message here because I wrote a novel. I've talked about it. And part of it is trees where people live in them. And in the Tartaria video, above ground was the tree and just regular civilization. And then below ground, like within the root system, were like living compartments and people. It was like a cutaway view. And I don't know how they would have had a picture of this, so maybe it was AI, but this particular video poster, this account guy, is specifically states they're not AI, and when they read stuff, they read it like a person would. They don't mispronounce things and miscontext. So I really I feel better watching the information from their channel, but I'm just realizing right now, how could they have a picture of that tree? But here's the thing, even if it's a cross-section of this living area, it didn't have like drawings. It was like a sepia tone photograph. And there's a lot of stuff that were happening that was happening in Tartaria, and some of these videos about that place are about this, is that they had stuff that we don't consider anyone on the planet having at the particular time frame. And evidently somebody was able to take an underground cross section, and it was not a diagram or a drawing. It was a photograph of people in old-timey clothes, like still photo, so standing or in the process of walking in something shaped like an underground airstream shaped hole in the ground, and it was fitted out like a house. So I was like, oh my god. And I've been thinking that I need to do stuff with that novel. And I just thought today, when I saw those pictures, I was like, maybe I can make a comic book out of it. Because I don't want it to be long. I just want to tell the story in short, do it in a brief way. Anyway, I don't know. I pay attention to stuff like that. It usually leads somewhere. Doesn't always make sense from where it starts. Like, I may not end up having to do with much of what I just said. But anyway, back to this. The world needs... Okay, I already read that. Okay, I'll just start there. The world needs more artists, dreamers, inventors, and visionary thinkers. Perhaps you've had an idea recently that you're being called to usher in. If so, this card is your confirmation that it's divinely guided. The Pleiadians support us in this important stage in Earth's development. They want us to know that the decisions we make today will affect the well-being of our planet and all of its species. They're calling on you to be a leader of the future, to hold a clear vision of what's possible, to trust that vision and follow it through with daily action, to dream a new world into being, to hold your mind open and try not to worry about what others think. For it takes great courage to pave a new path, to trust a vision before it's a reality. So, a last thing about what we were talking... Well, not a last thing. Another thing that we were talking about is... or actually, I've been talking about it too. But it's that... to hold a clear vision of what's possible, to trust that vision and follow it through with daily action. Here it is. To dream a new world into being. To hold your mind open and try not to worry about what others think. For it takes great courage to pave a new path. So, to change radically from what we've been doing in our relationships with each other and sort of living in this world where we're just like we've allowed ourselves to be lulled into uh, complicity. Wait, that wasn't the word I was going for, but yeah, because we've just become like passive. We passively accept what happens because it's stressful and it's hard. And now there's new horrors and things to be afraid of, but there always are. And so, like I was saying, we've done hard things. We can probably do what's happening now, what we need to do. And then if we can't and we exit however we exit, that's what we decide to do. That's what we decide to comply with. But, we have to trust in the new reality, the path that we're building out in front of ourselves step by step. If we want to do it differently. So, Starseed Soul Inquiry, how are you being called to step up and lead? What new ideas and creation are you being called to pursue? I assume that's talking about what are you going to contribute to the effort, the all hands on deck situation that we definitely have going on. And that's something that a lot of people, like I said, we need to kind of recognize that we're our salvation. Like, we can no longer look to the government for help or answers or expertise, but they just really canceled out everything. Unchecked all of the boxes. Oh, come on. So the last card is Jump In. And there is this card, and you can see at the it looks like a number of oh boy, what are they even called? I don't know. I look at them every day on Blue Sky. Well, there's a few of these formations in space that look like an eye looking at you. So I always kind of see that first. I see the eye first. It's all about vision. And then the next thing I noticed on the Jump In card is that the person has jumped into the eye, which is evidently also water, but they jumped in with their face because those are their feet. Those are the bottoms of someone's feet, which when you jump, those should be in the water first, not your face. I just think that is hilarious. So let's see what the manual has to say about the Jump In card. Why, I can't believe I just dug that out of my skull again. That was the theme song to Dusty's Treehouse. Hey, go ahead and comment if you remember that show, Dusty's Treehouse. Okay, so here are the subtitles on the Jump In card. Andromedan energy, adventure, say yes to change. I guess the Andromedan energy is kind of fearless. Andromeda is a spiral galaxy, the closest galaxy to the Milky Way. It's believed that Andromedan starseeds are a group of beings who love their freedom. Very adaptable, they have a strong willingness and ability to change and go with the flow, to find calm in the chaos, to swim in the tides, to swim with the tides, excuse me. This card is here to encourage you to do the same. Perhaps you have a significant goal or opportunity ahead of you. If so, you're being guided to jump in. Don't wait for permission. Don't stall until you feel ready. Take a deep breath, a good old run up, and jump right on in. Life bends for the courageous. Life bends for the courageous. And courageous is what you're being called to be. Is it, again, we're being called? And if I'm not mistaken, the called card asks you to also step up. But I think I remember reading that it also called for you to jump in. It's a dual message, it's like it's doubling down. Just so you know. Just had to interpret that for you. Okay, where am I? Did I read that? Oh, okay. You're already facing the right direction. The only thing left to do is leap. You'll figure out the details as you go along. Things may not always be smooth sailing. Life on Earth rarely is. However, it's the rougher seas that teach us how to sail with glory. And dang, that's a big floppy bug. Flying thing. Things may not always be smooth sailing. Life on Earth really is. However, it's the rougher seas that teach us how to sail with glory. And once you know that, you can navigate any sea, ocean, or storm. The Andromedans want you to fall in love with surfing the waves of life, to seek more adventures, to embrace your own adaptability, and find a way to be calm in the chaos. You didn't come to Earth to be passive. You came to Earth to truly live. Now take a good run-up and leap. Starseed Soul Inquiry. How can you be more adventurous? How are you being called to jump right on in and leap? Well, if you haven't done that before previously, how do you know? You gotta take the leap. Just my opinion. So that's it. Thank you and good night. Wait, am I done? Yeah, I'm done.